Hi everyone, it's Adam with Milo's Restoration and Francie's Construction Services. And today I'm going to be talking about something that I don't typically talk about on this channel because typically I'm painting junky furniture or furniture that has a failing finish or doors or whatever. But anyway, so my carpentry business, I've been working at a doctor's office and I had to install this door. And the door was painted the wrong color. So it's white and it needs to be gray. So I'm going to be talking about like what do you do whenever you have something where, it came from a factory or you know that it's been properly prepared or painted, but you need to repaint it for whatever reason. And this happens all the time with furniture or doors or whatever. So basically, I'm just cleaning it right now. I'm just going to give it a good clean, and that's what I'll start with everything. In this case, I'm using the crocodile cloths. You need to make sure that you use the ones that are for paint prep. It says paint on them, not the ones that have the aloe or whatever in them. Those would probably not be good for this. So, you do need to ask yourself whenever you're working on something, is this something that has been previously painted in a factory, or is it a furniture flipper who previously painted it, or, who did it and what did they use? And that's probably the most important question you can ask. And if you can figure out the answer to that question, it makes your life a lot easier whenever you need to repaint this piece. So in this case, I'll say that the way that I figured it out was I was able to do a little bit of investigative research as far as I just looked up where this door came from. I found the factory, and on their website, they had a list of all the coatings they used. So it was pretty simple for me. I just went on there and I found out that it was a waterborne lacquer kind of replica type deal. And it's a polyurethane. I'm pretty sure it's an acrylic. So I'm going to use Centurion's 1K product over this, so I know that I'm not going to have any issues going over this directly without a primer. I would always recommend sanding before you do any kind of painting, though, generally speaking, if it's possible. Sometimes when you're painting drywall or, large surfaces, obviously that's not possible. But in this case, uh, I'm using a Surf very fine pad, which is going to be 280 to 320. I'm just giving everything a good sand. There was some orange peel in the finish. Just because you see orange peel in the finish doesn't mean that the surface is not properly prepared. That's just, it was probably splayed on a flat line, and just everything wasn't set right, and so things happen. And whenever you get done, I'll sand the previous finish back flat to where it's dead flat, and then I'll use that as my surface to start spraying on. So what if I figured out that this was not a waterborne coating and it was something tricky? And when I say something tricky, I mean, let's say it was a conversion varnish, a wax, a tug oil, some kind of weird oil finish, some kind of film finish. There's a lot of different possibilities out there. So if it's a conversion varnish, then generally speaking, that's something that I'm going to probably prime, because conversion varnishes are very hard. They're very hard to kind of get a good abrading with sandpaper on. So generally speaking, I'm going to prime them. Lacquers, water-based lacquers. Some water-based lacquers I will prime over, some I won't. If it's a polyurethane, it's probably pretty much good to go. You can probably spray just about any paint over that and be okay. If it's a um, catalyzed product, then you're going to have problems. You're probably going to need a prime. So, and if it's just like a latex paint, you know, honestly, as long as the latex paint has been properly applied, it's probably fine, even if it's just a full acrylic. So that's just something to keep in mind. And, you know, there was a failing seam going around the door, so I just recalked everything. And I'll put a little bit of dish soap and water, and I'll also use these rags to kind of keep. You want to, like, whenever you kind of dip your finger in the water and the fish soap and the dish soap and use that, it makes the caulk less likely to stick to your finger, and it's easier to clean up, and it's easier to get like a good bead around the, you know, surfaces of the door. So that's something, just a little tip that I'm going to recommend. So these are just little kicks that I put in to help hold the door while I'm painting it, so I can paint both sides at once and not have to, you know, flip one side and do all that. Whenever I get to the job site, I'll caulk it and paint it, and you'll never even know it was there. And I'm using the 1K acrylic from Centurion, the 1K top coat, and I'm using the Graco Quick Shot with a 308 tip. I found that works pretty well. The Quick Shot works a little bit different from a typical airless. You hold it about, you know, 3 to 6 inches away from the surface, whereas in regular airless you'd probably hold a lot farther back. So that's just one thing that I typically do, and I'll usually run around a 6 to 7 pressure with that. So if you've used a Quick Shot, you'll understand what I'm talking about when I say that. So this is the color Bear Shark Fin, and it's been a custom match. So in this case, I'm not using any thickener in this paint, and I did get a couple runs because of that. So I think it's a good idea to use the thickener if you're going to use Centurion. It definitely makes things a lot less likely to run, and it makes your life a lot easier. You won't get as many runs, and this product is very likely to run, even with a 308 tip. So after I've sprayed the first coat, I'll typically kind of just, you know, pull around to the coating to make sure that there's no adhesion issues. And in this case, there wasn't. It pretty much passed with flying colors as far as I can tell. So I'll just go ahead and give it a good sanding like I would a typical top coat, and then I'll spray it, and that's it. That's kind of basically all there is to it, really. It's a lot easier whenever you're painting a surface that has been properly prepared. There's a lot less prep work that goes into it, although you still need to do your due diligence and make sure that you understand what you're doing. But once you get past those basics, there's really not a lot to it. It's a lot easier than a surface that has been painted incorrectly. So, you know, you don't always need to prime. That's kind of something that people say that's not always true. And in this case, you really don't need a prime. So I had this video from the job whenever I put the door in. I just wanted to kind of throw this in there. Yeah, and this is the swinging door. It's got double swing hinges on it, and yeah, I think they're going to like it a lot. So thank you. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video.